Well, the final ever episode of The Boys isn't that far away at all now, and following one of the most emotional moments in the show's history, the stakes couldn't be any higher as we're on the cusp of the end of the story for good. Boys are going to be mourning the death of one of their closest friends. Soldier Boy is back in cryosleep, and he is. So with only one episode to go, I wanted to share my theories and predictions on what I think is going to happen to the main characters in the finale. So let's get into it. With Frenchie's death being front and center of all of the boys' minds, that's going to add an even deeper level of emotion to the fact that they want to take out Homelander. No longer is it just about Butcher wanting to get revenge for what Homelander did to Becca. No longer is it just about soup supremacy, but it's now also about the fact that Homelander killed somebody else that they all loved. With Kimiko completing the process of absorbing an atomic bomb just like Soldier Boy could, this will set up them using her as a weapon against Homelander to drain him of the V1 in his system. We know that it's possible against V1 as we saw Soldier Boy do it against Bombsight. With Homelander being inside of the Oval Office in the most recent episode, I think we saw that because Homelander could well be seated there now, rather than inside of Vought H. awful person, but he's God, so why would he not be in the office that was created for the most powerful person in the country? Now that the president's dead, I imagine he'll sit in that seat whenever he pleases. This will most likely be leading to a similar ending to what we saw in the comic with the death of Homelander taking place inside of the Oval Office. However, because the story has gone in quite a different direction, especially with Black Noir not being a clone of Homelander, which was created as a failsafe, I think we're essentially going to see the boys heading there with the hopes of taking out Homelander with Kimiko. Homelander laughed when Frenchie spoke of them having replicated Soldier Boy's power, so he might have thought that he was lying. But even still, if there's a seed of doubt in his mind, I imagine he'll put precautions in place to make sure it's not that easy for them to just break in. In this instance, you'd imagine Homelander would have turned to Soldier Boy, but it's now, as Homelander knows that Soldier Boy would turn on him. I do have a feeling that somebody is going to find out about Soldier Boy being in cryosleep though, whether it be Ashley, as we saw that she had a frightened look on her face when she was thinking about how she'd managed to survive all of this time. Maybe it's dawning on her that she could well be the next person that's going to be killed, so she'll release Soldier Boy with the hopes of him taking out Homelander. Or it could end up being the Deep and he might actually release him because he knows that he'll look to take out Homelander if he gets close to him again. And with the Deep feeling like he has a lack of belonging, he might feel more free if Homelander isn't there. I can't see Soldier Boy's ending just being him locked away in cryosleep by Homelander in the penultimate episode. It doesn't feel well suited enough. The main question that's going around in my head though about the next episode is centered around if the power that Kimiko has absorbed is going to actually work on Homelander to the level that it does for Soldier Boy. I feel like it definitely could, but there's also a part of me that fears that it might not. Kimiko is full of emotion, is being led by it due to Frenchie's death, and has also never used that power before, so it's the boys after all, and I feel like there's going to be a bloodbath in this finale, so the show might genuinely have Homelander kill her off before she even gets a chance to use it. Or if she does use it, then I don't think it'll be as powerful as what they thought it would be. This is where I think the freed Soldier Boy will come into the equation and support the boys in trying to take out Homelander. Soldier Boy said to Homelander a few episodes ago that he didn't deserve to live forever, and now I think Soldier Boy will look to stand by those words and make sure that Homelander is drained of his powers. This will almost allow us to have a Season 3 finale style battle where Soldier Boy, the boys, and Homelander are all in the Oval Office fighting with one another. However, this time they'll all be against Homelander. If Soldier Boy is successful in draining Homelander of his powers, I'd kind of like to see it just being Butcher and Homelander left with one another. The others could maybe be out cold or something like that. They don't have to be dead, but it would just allow Butcher to then see a Homelander that's feeling the most weak and fragile that he's ever been, with true fear in his eyes, and the fear of actually being hurt, something he's never felt. You never know, Ryan might even be present here as well, and Homelander could be begging for the mercy of his own son after what he did to him in episode 3. I'd love to see Butcher just reveling in that for a brief moment before he eventually killed Homelander. Within the comic book, Homelander 1 is killed when he's quite literally torn apart by the Homelander clone, which was created as a failsafe by Vought, and was actually revealed to be the true identity of Black Noir. And then afterwards, because Black Noir had sustained injuries, Butcher rocked up and killed him with a crowbar, meaning that no Homelander was left whatsoever. I could almost imagine a battle going down where Butcher is in a wounded state, just like what Black Noir was in the comics, and Butcher's final moments could be him seeing Homelander for the weak, pathetic man that he actually is. Exactly what Butcher called him in episode 4 of season 5 when he was trapped in the suit-proof cell. Homelander will be a shell of who he's always been, and will see a Homelander that's unloved, alone, and powerless. One that most likely wouldn't be happy in life in the state that he's in. Whilst Butcher could quite easily wipe him out in that moment, and would also love the idea of allowing him to live forever in the body that would essentially be a prison for him. The rage, revenge, and wrath that Butcher has towards Homelander is something that just can't be put to the side. So I think Butcher would make Homelander suffer in a way that allowed him to feel an ounce of the pain that he put so many people through over the years. It would be a suitable ending for the character, and Butcher would finally get his revenge. The sweet revenge for Becca, all whilst Homelander died whilst feeling unloved, alone, and powerless. I do also think that we'll see Homelander's empire beginning to crumble by that point. With the Democratic Church of America and Homelander being a god being released to the public, and Homelander most likely unleashing his wrath and bringing his reckoning that he spoke of following the ending of episode 7 and punishing all of those that don't truly believe that he's God. I believe he's going to begin to lose support amongst the people that originally supported him most, because the totalitarian dictator approach is something that they won't all believe in, and they won't want to accept him as God. Homelander's death will be a huge moment if it does occur. There's a part of me that is so ready for it, but there's still a part of me where, because Homelander is genuinely the most powerful suit that we've ever seen, I wonder if the show will just twist things on its head and have him survive. When it comes to the end of Butcher, he hasn't wanted to be alive for a long while because he's not had the love of his life, and the only reason he's been pressing on is because he's wanted to see Homelander perish. If that does happen, I do wonder if there's going to be a twist in the tale and he'll end up releasing the virus and ending things for not only himself, but making sure that the world was rid of all soups. He said that the world was a better place without any soups in it, and I think he still stands by that. With Sister Sage knowing how to make a stable V1, there might be enough vials for Ryan, Sage, Starlight, and Kamiko to survive, the only soups that Butcher would allow to live, but all of the others would most likely perish. That would also mark a fitting end to the series. Butcher would have completed his mission of getting revenge on the person who hurt the woman that he loved most in the world. When it comes to the Deep, he's a character that's simply just irredeemable. There's no two ways about it. With the video recording of him abandoning the person that needed saving in the water, the public are most likely going to turn against him and he'll truly not feel safe on land or sea anymore. He might try his luck with the sea, which would then mean that he'd end up being killed by the species that he was supposed to love and care about most. Or if that doesn't happen, then I feel like Starlight could actually end up being the person that kills the Deep. It would be poetic if a desperate Deep that was in a situation where he felt out of his depth was then killed by Starlight. Somebody who was in that situation way back in season 1, and the Deep chose to take advantage of her and be inappropriate. This would be Annie's way of getting revenge on him after all of those years, and it would close off his story. As he's a character that's never shown any sign of redemption, I don't think he gets a happy ending, so either of those endings would work for him. It's been announced that the final episode of The Boys is going to be 1 hour and 5 minutes long, so not as long as what many of us had predicted it to be, or hoped, but there's still plenty of time for the show to give us a stellar ending and allow it to go out with a true bang. These are just my theories and predictions for now, but if you've got any of your own, then drop them down in the comments below. We've got less than a week to go, and I really can't wait to see how The Boys is going to come to an end after all of these years. So, there you have it, The Boys Season 5 Episode 8, Theories Explained.